Beautiful sandy beaches, turquoise water, whitewashed houses with blue roofs clinging to the cliffside, water sports, serene nature, and a vibrant nightlife. Not to mention potentially the best food you have ever eaten and the super welcoming, friendly locals. The Greek islands are so plentiful and so beautiful and diverse, they offer something for every taste. And with the Greece Digital Nomad Visa and the Greece Digital Nomad Residency, you could live in paradise for years if you wanted to. Greece is a very diverse country, located on the southern tip of the Balkan Peninsula and at the crossroads of Europe, Asia and Africa. Greece shares land borders with Albania, North Macedonia, Bulgaria and Turkey. The Aegean Sea lies to the east of the mainland, the Ionian Sea to the west, and the Sea of Crete and the Mediterranean Sea to the south. Greece has the longest coastline on the Mediterranean basin, featuring thousands of islands, with the island of Mykonos being famous for its nightlife and Santorini for its black sand beaches. And it is one of the most important cultures in Western civilization. In fact, it is referred to as the cradle of Western civilization, the birthplace of philosophy and democracy. With its Digital Nomad Visa and Digital Nomad Residency scheme, as well as its quite affordable cost of living, Greece is a real alternative to the hyped-up visas in Portugal and Spain. As usual, you will find the timestamps to everything we cover down below, as well as links to the activities that I mentioned and everything else that you might need to organize your digital nomad lifestyle. No matter where you step, you will find reminders of its diverse history and culture. And if you are into mythology, look no further. Greece is the home country to gods like Apollo and Zeus, and many of the temples built in their honor can still be visited today. The stuff you read about in high school or saw in movies? This is where it happened. Because Greece is so rich in history, things to do and beautiful spots to visit, it is impossible to fit everything in one video. This is why this is part of a two-part series. Last week we covered the most important things for digital nomads in terms of infrastructure, in terms of cost of living and the digital nomad visa, as well as places to live in and see on the Greek mainland. And today we will cover the Greek Isles. So if you would like to know more about internet connection, cost of living and all of that, check out the video. I'll link it up here when you're done with this one. As well as if you are interested in more things to do on the mainland. Otherwise, for today, let's look at the beautiful Greek Isles. So there are 100 of Greek islands and they differ quite significantly both in terms of size and thereby also of digital nomad infrastructure, which is why we will first cover those that are big enough to support you as a home base, that have sufficient internet, that have a digital nomad community and where you can live and from there visit other beautiful places in Greece. Crete is the most populous of the Greek Isles, with 600,000 people living here. This makes it a fantastic choice for your digital nomad home base, and it has a sizable digital nomad community, allowing you to make friends quickly. This is due to Crete actively targeting digital nomads. The island has a number of co-working spaces and an initiative that really tries to connect digital nomads through a number of events. And there is 5G internet on the island. Its size, particularly if you are considering to stay more than just a couple of weeks, means that there's enough to see and do around the island. You will be able to switch up workplaces, have a good chance to meet a good amount of other digital nomads and expats, have a decent number of accommodation options to choose from, and have access to fast internet. And if that wasn't enough, housing prices are a lot more reasonable than in the country's capital of Athens as well. Plus, with its pastel-colored houses, white sandy beaches, vibrant cities, and great nature inland, it is a true paradise. No matter if you like to enjoy water sports, go hiking, or enjoy the Mediterranean flair of life, sitting in a restaurant and having a fantastic meal. Crete also has a lot to offer for history buffs. Europe's first advanced civilization, the Minoans, left behind numerous very interesting sites to discover. When it comes to infrastructure, Crete has an inexpensive bus network to move around on the island, as well as 3 airports and a couple of ports to get off the island when you want to explore the rest of the country. Renting a scooter or a car are also good options to explore the island more independently. Heraklion is the capital and biggest city of Crete, holding more than a fourth of the island's population, followed by Chania and Rethymno. These might also be the best cities for you to set up base. When it comes to things to do, Crete alone already offers enough interesting sites and activities for weeks. In Heraklion, for example, you should visit the 13th century Kouls fortress, built by the Venetians to protect against invading powers. Or head to the archaeological site of the Palace of Knossos, constructed during the Bronze Age by Europe's first literate civilization, the Minoan. Chania, on the other hand, is a fantastic base if you enjoy hiking in rugged nature, for example by discovering the Samaria Gorge, Europe's longest gorge and a UNESCO World Biosphere Reserve. The trek will take about 6 to 7 hours, which is why you will not be allowed to start it later during the day. Also, please bring some water since it gets very hot during the summer. Rethymnon, the third biggest city, might be the most beautiful of the 3, spoiling the eye with beautiful Ottoman and Venetian architecture and the perfect 11-kilometer-long sand beach. Water sport enthusiasts will be in paradise here. Other things to do on Crete include a visit to Arkadi Monastery, close to Rethymnon. This monastery is particularly known for the role it plays in the Cretan resistance to Ottoman rule during the Cretan Revolt of 1866. 943 Greeks, mostly women and children, sought refuge in the monastery, and after 3 days of fighting decided to blow up barrels of gunpowder in the monastery, sacrificing themselves for the resistance instead of surrendering. Some of the spectacular beaches on the island include Matala Beach, a beautiful beach and little hippie town. The cliffs on the side of the beach are dotted with little caves, some even underwater. Presumably, these were early Christian burial chambers. But during the 1960s, hippies, many of them from the US, lived in them to avoid having to go fight in Vietnam. Even Bob Dylan and Cat Stevens were supposedly among them. Speaking of caves, if you are into Greek mythology, you shouldn't miss the Psychro Cave, also referred to as the Dictaean Cave, which is believed to be the cave where the Greek god Zeus was born and hidden from his father, Cronus. According to the myth, he was raised in a cave by his foster mother Ametha, who fed him goat's milk. Admittedly, this is one of several contestants for the presumed birthplace of Zeus. But signs of early cult worship have been found in the cave, and it is a really interesting place to visit. Back outside in the sun, let's take a look at another super popular beach, Elafonisi Beach, which is famous for its rose-colored sand. The next popular island for digital nomads is no doubt Santorini, possibly the most famous of the Greek isles, with its whitewashed buildings and blue-domed churches, and definitely capable of hosting you as a digital nomad in terms of infrastructure, both when it comes to internet, cafes and restaurants, as well as it having its own airport and access to transportation across the island. It is a beautiful volcanic island, actually being a collapsed and flooded volcano crater with a lot of things to do. However, since it is so incredibly popular, it is also a little more expensive, and in the summer, during the main tourist season, it is incredibly crowded. The best digital nomad base on Santorini is Fira, the spectacular, buzzing white city, perched atop a dramatic red-hued cliff overlooking the sea. Good for a visit, but not necessarily as a base, is Oia, the famous, most photographed location on Santorini. The views here are spectacular. It is, however, also known to be a luxury location, and the prices here reflect that very much. Pyrgos is the smaller, former capital of the island and best preserved medieval settlement. Make your way past the beautiful whitewashed buildings on tiny cobblestoned paths and enjoy the breathtaking view over the island from here. While all of Santorini is beautiful, Pyrgos seems a little more authentic, less theme parky and polished, and for that matter, also a little less crowded. History buffs will find the old settlement of Akrotiri to be a very interesting archaeological site. Akrotiri, now covered in a layer of volcanic ash, used to be one of the most significant Minoan city and ports from 400,000 BC until a volcanic eruption in 1600 BC. One of the most famous beaches on the island is the Red Beach, named after the red sand, which owes its coloring to its volcanic origins. If the volcanic origins of the islands are of interest to you, you can take part in a boat tour to visit some of the other craters. One of the craters, Nea Kemeni, is actually still active. If you want to spend some time on a party island and money isn't an issue, then Mykonos, the party capital and most expensive island, might be your pick. Mykonos is no doubt beautiful, and like the other two islands, it is big enough to offer the infrastructure you need for a digital nomad lifestyle. Whether you will be able to get much work done amidst the raging nightlife is a different story, however. Like Santorini, Mykonos is jam-packed with tourists and very expensive during the summertime in particular. So if you have a choice, you might want to avoid July and August. The best place for you to make your base is Chora, or Mykonos town. It is the biggest little town on the island and is absolutely beautiful, with small cobblestoned paths winding their way past the iconic whitewashed buildings, housing small shops, cute cafes and delicious restaurants. The most famous church in town is 15th century Panagia Parapotani, and actually part of an entire church complex of 5 individual churches. Not on Mykonos, but just a short boat ride away is the archaeological excavation site and UNESCO World Heritage Site, the ruins of Delos, which are considered to be the birthplace of the gods Apollo and Artemis, and a nice destination to add a little history to your stay on the island. Other than enjoying the vivid nightlife and water sports such as scuba diving, Mykonos has some beautiful beaches to relax on and some gorgeous sunset views. However, while a lovely island, I would maybe consider it a place to visit for a couple of days, not one where I would set up a base for a longer period of time. Rhodes. Small but hosting many cultural events, the small island of Rhodes is an option if you prefer a destination that is a little quieter, more family-friendly and less overrun, but still offers some very interesting activities. The island has its own airport, with daily flights from Athens and Thessaloniki during the summer, which makes getting here quite easy. One of the most impressive sights on Rhodes, and the reason the island gained the nickname Knight's Island, is the impressive Old Town. Get lost on the small streets of this fortified maze, visit one of the best preserved medieval castles in the world, and imagine life here centuries ago. If you are into water sports, Rhodes offers great diving opportunities, with shipwrecks to be discovered and swarms of beautifully colored fish to observe. History buffs will be able to marvel at the Acropolis of Rhodes, not far from Rhodes town, and children will be in awe of the sight of the thousands of butterflies in Butterfly Valley. You might also have noticed that by now we're going down quite a bit in size on the islands. If, like me, you are more into the quieter life and you enjoy, less bustle and less people, I will have a couple of islands here for you that I would like to introduce that might cater to that need as well. However, these, while offering internet and everything, might not be for you if you are somebody who really craves meeting other digital nomads, having a big expat community and super fast internet. However, these are perfect spots if you instead want to submerge yourself in Greek culture, in true Greek way of life, meaning to really experience island life, Greek village life, maybe learn more about the locals, maybe meet more locals, maybe learn the language a bit. and if you enjoy the solitary life a little more. And I mean, the absolute beauty is with the Digital Nomad Visa to Greece or even the Greek residency, you have a chance to maybe even check all of these places out, the big ones and the small ones, because you will have plenty of time to find the perfect spot for you in Greece. Milos is a little gem of an island on the edge of a group of islands called the Cyclades. A tiny little fishing island with about 5,000 inhabitants. Here you can experience the real, authentic Greece, with small, sleepy villages, good food and gorgeous beaches. You will arrive in Milos by docking in Ademantas, the port town and touristic center of the island. And this, or the beautiful capital of Plakas, might also be where you would want to find accommodation if you want to be close to most conveniences, such as shops, cocktail bars and the like. But if you are on Milos to seek peace and a more solitary experience, fear not. There are also some beautiful small villages that will allow for this desire. Heading up to the Venetian castle will give you a great opportunity to admire the island in all its glory, particularly during sunset. Plakas also is hometown to a very interesting archaeological museum that showcases many interesting finds made on the island. If you are an art enthusiast and have been to the Louvre in Paris, you might even see a familiar figure, the Venus de Milos, a world-famous statue of Aphrodite that was actually found on Milos. The original is exhibited in Paris, while her home island of Milos showcases a copy. Klima is a cute little fishing village with little white houses with colorful doors and balconies lining the waterfront. They have been gracing these shores since 1100 BC. These were used by fishermen to store their boats back when Klima was the main harbor of the island. Sit by the waterfront and watch the fishermen bring in their catch. And in case you are so inspired by the view you don't want to leave, worry not. Some of these houses can be rented as vacation homes. From here, head up to the ancient 4th century BC theater. Sit on the marble steps. Imagine the old Greek enjoying a play and getting a stunning view over the sea in the background. Other options for a quiet little vacation rental can be found in one of the quaint fishing villages, for example in Philopotomos and Mandrakia. One thing that Milos is famous for is its fantastic beaches. Here are some you can't miss. Sigrado Beach. This is a hidden gem of a beach. You will have to climb down, making your way past narrow cliffs and down small wooden ladders, holding on to old ropes and through narrow rock formations before you finally step out onto the beautiful soft white sand to take a dip in the invitingly shimmering turquoise water. And to see one of the most famous places on the island, head to Sara Beach, which is famous for its super interesting white rock formation that reminds of lava. That's because it is. Isn't that spectacular? The lava here has been bleached by the sun and the sea and now shimmers in this perfect white hue, inviting you to explore its enclaves. Unfortunately, the beach is one of those typical Instagram locations on the island, which means it can be quite crowded during the peak season. One of the most impressive caves on the island is the Sikia cave, hidden in the white rocky coastline, which makes a stunning contrast to the clear turquoise water. Still too many people for your liking? Okay, how about Hydra then? Hydra is a tiny gem of an island, only 50 square kilometers or 31 square miles in size, with only 2,000 inhabitants. So small actually that the island is entirely car-free. If you want to get around or transport your luggage, you will have to rely on a horse, a mule or a water taxi. Hydra is only 1.5 hours from Athens by ferry, which makes it the perfect getaway for you if you want some solitude but do need the conveniences of a metropole every so often. This also makes Hydra a favorite tourist destination, particularly for day trippers, but outside of the main season, things calm down significantly. Hydra town is where you will arrive and find all conveniences. some small shops, restaurants, and 2 museums. It is a beautiful small town with colorful mansions reflecting the wealth of the island in the 18th and 19th century, and very different to the small fisher-style villages you might find on other islands. Another site that makes Hydra different from so many other Greek isles are the beaches. While certainly beautiful, you won't find the soft white sand beaches you can on many other islands. In Hydra town, there are actually no beaches at all. Instead, you can sunbathe and access the water from the coastal rocks. Ladders here will lead you into the water to make access easier if you don't want to jump in. For a beach experience, head to one of Hydra's many pebbled beaches. The quickest way to do so is by one of the island's public transport offerings, a boat. And if you get bored sitting by the beach, take a hike across the island. There are plenty of treks taking you through the rugged, rocky terrain. Alternatively, if you want to mix it up, you can also enjoy the island's beauty atop a horse. And if now you still haven't found your perfect island destination for your digital nomad life, stay tuned for next week, where I will introduce Greece's kind of little brother, Cyprus, which also has an interesting digital nomad scheme. Until then, check out last week's video about the Greek mainland or some of the beautiful surrounding countries that also offer some very good cost of living and might be interesting to digital nomads. I have covered quite many of them. Thanks for your time, thanks for today, and I'll see you here in the next one. Bye bye.